So it's the chili season, and John is going to show us how he makes his chili.
Sometimes people make chili differently, and some people use beef, some people use beans, some people don't use beef or don't use beans. I mean, it's however your preference is. This is one of my mom's recipes from way back when, and so I kind of really enjoy it. And we're going to go through what it takes to make my controversial chili, my grandma's mom's chili, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to show you kind of the ingredients and then the process, and we'll get started here.
Okay.
Well, good morning, all. We're going to get started with some chili. I say good morning because I like to get started in the morning and let the chili kind of stew in this crock pot. So we got a big crock pot. I've actually already turned this on low just so that I can start getting some of the canned vegetables in there and get them warmed up so that when I do the ground beef, I'm not adding hot stuff to cold stuff. So it's kind of all blending with the same kind of heat. And so anyway, here's all the ingredients. So we've got set out here. I've got the ground beef. We'll start browning that shortly, and I've got a separate skillet we're doing that on. So we'll do that. And this is actually 85% lean. I like a little bit of fat in there. And this is about 2.5 pounds, or two and a quarter pounds. So I'm making a big batch. I consider it a big batch, crock pot full. So we're going to get started here. We've also got some garlic cloves we chop up. I also have some already minced garlic in the jar if we need a little extra. Got that. We've got an onion, which is, this may not be enough. We may do another onion on top of this. And then we've got our canned hot chili beans, the Cooners brand. I know some people like to get their own beans, you know, whole beans, and soak them and all that stuff, but I just use a can. And I also use the Del Monte diced tomatoes. This one's basil, garlic, and oregano. So we've got a few cans of those, few cans of the beans, and then of course your staples of black pepper, salt, of course. Also have some garlic salt. I do have this garlic jalapeno seasoning. We'll put a little bit of that in there. This is kind of one of those things you just put a little bit to taste and see how it comes out. And then in my mom's recipe, she actually recommends putting a little bit of vinegar in there. So this is olive oil and balsamic vinegar. So we put a little bit of that in there, as well as some sugar, just a teaspoon of sugar. And then, of course, I add a little bit of cayenne pepper just to give it a little more bite. I like my chili a little on the spicy side. And then my mom's recipe also calls for a little bit of oregano. And, of course, some crushed red pepper. And this is Lowry's seasoned salt. So I actually put this in the skillet, put my ground beef on there just to give it a little seasoning. So what we'll do, brown the meat first, then put the onion and garlic in, get it all browned, and then we'll add it to the crock pot. But first I'm going to go ahead and put all these cans of beans and diced tomatoes in the crock pot first. So let's get going.
Yeah.
And then you can show them, pour a little bit of water in there.
Yeah, you're right, so just tell them what you're doing.
Yeah, so I've dumped the beans in first. I put a little bit of water in there because there's always goodies at the bottom of the can. We'll put that in there. So there's one of those, and let's go ahead and do a diced tomato. Okay, here goes a diced tomato. This one is the green peppers and onions one, so we're going to put a little water in there. We got goodies at the bottom of the can. Okay, here's another can of chili beans. And put some water in there, because there's always some beans stuck at the bottom. Okay, so we got all the beans in there. 2 more cans of tomato. Here we go. Here's some more tomatoes. diced tomatoes. These are basil, garlic, and oregano. Put a little water in. Get the goodies at the bottom and put that in. Pause. Now, last can of diced tomatoes. These are the Del Monte green peppers and onions. Put a little water in there. Get the goodies at the bottom. Okay. Okay, so we're going to put the lid on. We've got all the veggies, or tomatoes, and the chili beans in there. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and put the lid on. I've got the heat on low just to keep it warm. Once we get everything in there, I'm going to crank this up to the high setting. Here we go with the ground beef part of it. So got our skillet, got our ground beef. And like I said, I use this Lowry's seasoned salt. So what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit on the bottom of the skillet. Since we're using 2 1/4 pounds of meat, we'll just, you know, coat the bottom, not super heavy, but just enough. And we'll start there. Because you can always add more, you know, once you go to taste it and it's ready to eat, you can always add a little bit more. If you put too much in at the beginning, you can over salt and ruin the flavor. So we don't want to do that. So next step, we've got our 85 lean premium Angus ground beef, 2 1/4 pounds. So we'll add that in. And then after that, I'll show you my trusty little chopper. So we'll just put that all in like that. We'll go ahead and get the heat going. Let's do, we'll start with maybe medium heat. Just to start. And then I have this little tool here that'll actually help split the ground beef up in the skillet. And actually, you know, we're going to turn the heat up to medium to high, between medium and high. And then we'll just let this set for a minute. And once it gets hot, because since I just turned the heat on, it's going to take a while to heat up. So once it gets warm, we'll start chopping it up into pieces. So while we're waiting for the meat to start getting warmed in the skillet, we can chop up our onion and get it ready to go into the skillet. But we don't put the onion in until at least the meat is fully cooked and browned. And then we just let the onion kind of saute in the skillet. I'm just going to throw these peels in the sink here.
I'm behind the scenes cleaning up.
We'll just chop off that little end piece there. And then we'll just start chopping this. I usually like to do it in quarters. Sounds like our meat is starting to cook. So I'm going to pause this for a few minutes and then we'll get the beef browned and then we'll come back to this. Okay, we'll let that simmer for a bit. We'll get back to the onions. So these onions are a little small, so got another onion. This one's a little smaller, so we're going to use this one as well. I've already got some chopped up, and I'll chop this one up, and then we'll dump it all in here shortly. The meat's starting to brown nicely, so let's keep chopping here with some onions. So we pretty much have the ground beef all chopped into little bits. And so anyway, we're ready to add vegetables. Now I know some people will drain the excess fat out of the meat, which, I mean, there's very little in there because it's been kind of cooking off, boiling off. So I mean, there's a little bit in there, and you know, there's some good flavor. I don't want to dump it out. So there's There's a little bit, so you can kind
And
of.
I'm going to throw this in because we're
You
done
can
with that.
kind of see there's a little bit of juices in there, which is fine. Don't want a dry beef.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to add some onion. We've chopped up some onion. It's pretty fine. It's not super small pieces, but it's good. It'll cook down when we put it in the meat. So we're going to add the onion. Put it all in there. Get it all out.
He likes a lot of onion.
And yeah, we usually do 2 small onions with 2.5 or 2.25 pounds of ground beef. So we'll get that pushed down in there.
Roscoe's smelling the food and he is like, oh, his little tummy's grumbling. No.
So we got that going, and while we're doing that, we're going to add the garlic. So we did look at that jar of garlic. It had expired, so fortunately we had some whole garlic cloves. So we chopped that up in our little ninja chopper thing here.
Yeah, it's the magic bullet that I use all the time to chop little chopping for Roscoe's food and
Yep.
chopping food, just little different things.
So we're going to put that in there. I'm actually going to put a little bit of water in here just to
Yeah,
get...
and you're going to need maybe a little spatula, a little plastic.
I put some water in there. It won't hurt. It'll boil off. I'm going to dump that in there. And there's our little garlic pieces in there. And we'll just let this simmer and cook down.
About how long did it take you to get the meat cooked?
A little bit of probably about 15 minutes or so.
And then you started adding the onion and the garlic and all right, so it's 10:14 in the morning, and we'll let you know how long it takes him to get all this cooked.
Okay. And at this time we could put a lid on it just to make sure it cooks down quicker. So we'll put the lid on for a few minutes. There we go. So we're getting there. So generally my rule of thumb is when the onions get translucent or get clear, that they're getting to the point where they're done. And so we're getting there. We're getting close. We'll leave it in for a few more minutes. And we just definitely don't want it to dry out, which everything seems to stay pretty moist so far. So we'll just leave it on the heat a little bit longer. And one thing I did do, I did turn up the heat on the crock pot to high, because the beans and the diced tomatoes are trying to get up to temperature, and then when we put the meat in, it'll come up to temperature pretty quick because this is pretty hot here. Okay, I believe our meat, onion, and garlic combination is done. And just keep in mind, I had to kind of keep rotating the onions to get down into the meat and the bottom so that they all cook evenly. So I was constantly stirring and flipping everything down. And you can kind of see now, I don't know if you can see with the camera, but the onions are pretty much translucent. So after constant chopping and rotating and flipping up and down, you can see our onions are pretty much translucent. I don't know if we can get a scoop of them here. You can kind of see they're kind of clear. So that's what you want. It's been about 15 minutes. And then you can also see too that most of the juices, remember I showed you the grease I didn't dump out because that keeps everything nice and moist. So if I show you, look, we hardly have any juices left. There's a little bit in there. So it didn't dry up the meat. And the onions are nice and moist and clear. Everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and dump this into the crock pot. So we're going to pull the lid off the crock pot. and get ready to dump in the meat, onion, and garlic mixture. Like I said earlier, the crock pot's on high just to keep this nice and warm. It's not hot yet, but it's getting there. Adding this meat and onion and garlic will definitely warm this up. So we're just going to dump it all in. And notice I haven't added any of the other extra flavors of seasoning yet, because what we're going to do is get this all combined in the crock pot, and then we'll add some seasoning in there. So we got this all in there. Get it all mixed in, and then we'll let this sit for a couple of minutes, and then we'll start adding seasoning. Okay, we'll put the lid on. Crock pot's on high. We'll let it sit for a few minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll add the additional seasoning to it, and we'll show you that here in shortly. Okay, so just a few minutes ago, my assistant pointed out that I grabbed the wrong vinegar, so I'm actually using this, which is wine vinegar, and so this is made with red La Crema Cristi del Vesuvio, product of Italy. So we're going to add some wine vinegar to this, but just a dash. But we'll get to that shortly. But let's start with what we're going to add currently. And this is, of course, based on my mom's great recipe that I love. So she always puts a dash of sugar. Well, I'll call it a teaspoon because that's what she says. We'll take the lid off because we're going to start adding some stuff. So we'll dip here into the sugar, and we're going to put a teaspoon of sugar. So we'll kind of sprinkle that around like that. That's all we're going to need of that. And then, of course, a teaspoon of oregano. So dip that in there. And sprinkle that around. And then just a dash of this vinegar, so just a dash. That's a dash. And then what we'll do is, then the salt and pepper I kind of add later, but I do add a little bit of crushed red pepper to start too. So we'll put a little bit of that to start. Since our chili beans are hot, we'll be careful with some of the hot spices. Here's some cayenne pepper. And just a light dash of that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of garlic salt. I know we did have some seasoning salt early, but I always use a little bit of garlic salt. Okay. Some of this other stuff I'm going to hold off on. I know we still have some of the garlic jalapeno. Of course, your staples, black pepper, and salt. But we will not put any more sugar or the vinegar in. We're done with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and scoop this all together. Keep in mind that if you go to taste this right now, it's going to taste funny. It will not taste the best, I'll just say that. Because it's not been combined really well and cooked really well. So this is one of those chilies that it takes some time for it to blossom, we'll just call it that, into a full flavored, awesome tasteness. So it's kind of why we're starting early in the morning. That way this is ready by, early to mid-afternoon, and you can start snacking on it and have some and make it a late lunch, early dinner, or if you want, when you tailgate, you get this ready ahead of time and then just take it all to your tailgating party or whatever. So we're pretty much done for now, and we're going to let this thing start to heat up which probably be, I'd say probably at least a couple hours.
It's 10:41.
Yeah, so probably 10, 11, 12, 40, probably 12 to 1. But I continue to stir this, every 30 minutes or so, just to keep everything combined nicely. And I will, maybe in an hour, just sneak a little taste just for saltiness and a little bit of, to see what kind of flavors we've got. But it'll evolve over the next couple hours. All right, let's put the lid on, let it start doing its thing. All right, we're back with the chili. And it's been about 2 hours since we talked to you last. And so doing a little bit of sampling throughout those last couple hours. I did add a little extra, just plain salt. And I did add some of this garlic jalapeno seasoning. Not a lot, just a little. And a little black pepper. But other than that, all the original seasonings that you saw that were put in there, I did not add any extras of those. So anyway, but it's evolved over those 2 hours, and all those ingredients that we put in have combined. And so it's come along just nicely. It's very good. We both sampled it now, and it's ready to go. So
it is really good.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you have to be patient for all the ingredients to kind of meld together, and the heat kind of helps it all combine. So that's what we're seeing now. The fruits of our waiting and being patient. So let's get some in the bowl.
Yes, go ahead, John. Scoop it up.
Do you want to bring your bowl over here? Kind of stir it in a little bit more, and then we'll scoop you some out. Get you one more scoop. How's that for starters?
That's good. I'm gonna get on this side of him because he's mic'd and I'm not, so we got him right there. So, all right. Now I did sample this earlier, and it's good. I think this is your best chili ever.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a big compliment.
That's saying something because he cooks it every year. So let me just go ahead and sample it. It is so good, so good. And now, did you say your mom added a little flour to hers? Yeah,
so she said in the notes of the recipe that you could add flour to thicken it if you want. But I don't know. To me, I think it's just right. I don't like mine like eating a cake. I like it more like soup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got really good flavor, and everything's combined in there really nicely. So
yeah, it is really, really good. And so sometimes what we do is, like tonight, we might add a little bit of shredded lettuce on top of that with some grated cheese and some more chopped onion if you want.
Yeah, and then have dip a tortilla in there. So we do have some tortillas that we'll probably use as kind of a dipping tool.
Yep.
So
you can also use corn chips. Put some corn chips in a bowl. Add some of this on top of that, and you could do sour cream and grated cheese and whatever. Yep. Olives, jalapeno, whatever.
In fact, down a couple days from now, when we have this for leftovers, we're thinking buying some hot dogs and having chili dogs. Yeah. So that's also a possibility.
Yep. For us, that's probably turkey hot dogs and whole wheat buns.
Yes.
but this has, all that beef in it. So this is plenty of meat for us.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us for another Vlogmas.
That's right. It's been fun for her.
Fun?
Feels like work for me.
I'm the one that's going around behind him and cleaning up after him. I wished I had a little elf that goes around and cleans up after me.
Okay.
No, he does do a lot of cleaning. He's very helpful. So, all right.
Alrighty.
Well, that's going to be it for today, and we of course will be back tomorrow. Let's just keep this going. Thanks for watching. Take good care, and let's
see ya. Keep on keeping on. Get a little flipper thing too.
Party foul.
No party foul.
Yeah, the handle broke.
Cooking foul.
Cooking foul. Yeah, that's a cooking
Not
foul.
partying yet. Comes later.